On screen.
Yes, sir, we can.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that in the last class we have tried to explain that actually what inside a keyboard we are having, and actually that the keyboard technologies, and we have also gone through that. Okay, what inside of the keyboard we are having, and what is actually basically happens that when we are pressing a key on that keyboard, then actually how it works. So we have learned through that some examples, and I hope that it is very much clear to you. And here the keyboard interfaces. So it is talking about actually the connections between the keyboard and the computer system. So it says it connects to PC. So that this is the keyboard. Already we have discussed, but there is a summary of that what we have discussed, and that the keyboard connector that also actually we have learned through that the back panel of the system unit, that where we have seen that we are having the PS2 connector for that the keyboard and mouse, as well as we can connect the keyboard with that the USB. So here the keyboard, it is talking about that the summary that what we have discussed till now. Inside a keyboard, you are having a processor, and you are having a circuit, which will is the circuit is going to be carry the information to or from that processor, the keyboard processor. So that the circuitry that we are talking about here actually. The keyboard controller is a single chip, contains the RAM, processor, ROM. So this is actually these are the elements actually control the operations of keyboard. And we have learned there is a key matrix. So we know that there are three layers basically, with this one and this one. So that row and column. So that is actually telling that row and columns made up pairs, and each key act as a switch. So what happens is that key matrix is a grid of circuits. When key is pressed, the row where makes the contact with that the column where. So that is actually we say the close the circuit or completes the circuit. When we actually pressing the key, that I mean this the two circuit boards, I mean the point are going to be uh, touch, and then that the circuit is going to be complete or close. So that is what that I mean the keyboard controller detects this closed circuit and registers the key press, and controller read the key press, that the what which key actually you have pressed. So this is what here. And yes, we have already explained that I mean when you are pressing that, then a voltage is going to be move, and with that actually it is going to determine that actually what the key you have pressed on there. So this is actually it is telling that when you're fingering pressing a key, that the layer starts through that the home, so that the two circuits, that the row column, and then that is going to be a signal pass to that from the keyboard to the computer system, and then that the computer is going to be able to actually, and the output you'll be able to see that actually which key you have pressed down. So this is what the keyboard connector. So we have already discussed about it. So it is giving a bit informations that okay, we are having that two types of keyboard connectors here. That one is that PS2 keyboard connector. This is known as the DIN5, and this is known as the DIN6, mini DIN6. So that is what actually it is talking about. That I mean, what are the key functionalities that for the 5 pins we are having. So some of the pins are actually are here that is going to be responsible for that the different purposes. And yes, that I mean the interface between the keys and pieces, keyboard connector DIN5 that we call, and PS2 keyboard connector mean basics that we are having here, and the USB connector also is there. So here this the pin information is telling us that okay, which pin is going to be worked for which purposes. So here also that the keyboard of the DIN5 uses 5 pins. The KBD clock that is provide the clock pulse. So that is actually the talking about this one. And then the data, the KBD date, that the send and receiving the data. So that the pin number 2 that is going to be receive the data and send the data, and that the KB are set reset, that the KB reset, that the reset keyboard internal buffer, that is the pin number 3. And here that the ground, that is the pin number 4. And also that that last one, that the VCC P5 that provides the power to the keyboard, that is actually 1, and the P4 is for the ground. So here, in case of that, the six pins, out of the six pins, there are actually two pins are not working. I mean, not used. That is that the pin number two and that the pin number six. So two and six on these six pins, two and six are not used actually, and the other pins are actually going to be used. I mean, similar that uh, uh, the the pins we have seen for that the mini sorry that the DIN 5, here also that DIN 6 we can find it out that the similar type of pins we are having, but the pin directions are different with different format by comparing with that the DIN 5. DIN 6 is different from DIN 5. So this is what actually it is, just trying to give you that the informations that okay, what are that the connectors of that the keyboard, how you are going to be connect actually that your keyboard to that computer system unit. So what are the pins are there onto the cable, right? That is actually given an informations here. And here we are having actually that some keyboard problems and solutions. Yes, I mean we are having it for that. I mean this table information you'll not found in that the lecture notes. The lecture note is going to be give you that some troubleshooting and that the repair informations with the defective cables and the stock keys. So the defective cables means here that the cables actually you are connecting. So most of the time that is it happens that I mean if the keyboard is not working when you're pressing a key and it is not working, it can happen. So when it happens, if it is happening in the desktop computer, first of all you should need to be check actually that the connections that I mean the back side of your system unit, that the connections you have given with that the USB or that the DIN 6 or DIN 5 connector. So you should need to be maybe open it and close it again. That with that actually it may work properly. Sometimes it happens that actually the connection is become loose, and then I mean that is why that I mean your keyboard or mouse cannot be work. On that case actually you should need to be disconnect that the cable connector from that the system unit, and again you are going to be actually connected. And that the second one we said about that the stock keys. So in case of that the stock keys, what happens is that I mean it happens that if a key you are pressing but it's not working, or maybe that this is what actually there are several issues comes that while we are typing that the keyboard, we should have to make sure that our we are keeping our keyboard in a protective way. I mean maybe it's better that if you can place a cover onto the top of the keyboard when you are not using it, uncover it and use it, and after using, when you are not using computer, you just try to cover that the keyboard keys with a maybe cotton cloth or maybe a plastic cover. So it is actually why it is necessary, because I mean you know that I mean the keys you are having on the top, that there are a lot of dust and hairs. It can be go inside of the keyboard. So when it goes inside of the keyboard, that is actually make some I mean the dust make some troubles inside the keyboard. So because when you're pressing that the keys on that time, it is really important that I mean that the layers we are having, the top layer and that the bottom layer, that the two layers we are having with that the row and column circuits, that should need to be contact. So it happens that I mean when you are trying to pressing the key but it is not getting the connections between them. So it is a another thing that I mean I will ask you. We have already studied about this, but I will ask you to search a video to that the YouTube, that I mean what inside of a keyboard. So you are going to be learning actually that how to open a keyboard and how what are the things are there inside of the keyboard, and how you can actually clean it. So it is going to be a good idea that I mean if I mean if you're opening that the keyboard maybe in a 6 months or maybe in a year and trying to cleaning it, so inside of the keyboard, so it is going to be I mean make your keyboard life more longer. So it is not a difficult task to actually disconnecting or maybe that I mean open that I mean the keyboard Just you have to unscrew it, and you should have to be careful when you are actually taking that the top part of the keyboard. When you are going to be disconnect from the bottom part of the keyboard to the top part of the keyboard, and then you will see that there are three layers. I mean, with that the rubber dome, that I mean silicon rubbers. So you can actually check them, and also there you are going to be able to see a circuit board. There is a circuit board is there in this one, so you should need to be very careful. This can be also disconnected, so you should need to be, I mean, after cleaning you can actually, again you can actually place them, I mean, the similar way that the way you have disconnect them. So here one thing also very important, that I mean when you are doing it for the first time, it's better that you take the notes, that okay, how or what, I mean step by step what are the things are actually inside of the keyboard. So while you are going to be reconnect them, assemble them, on that time you're going to find it easier to do that. So here some of the keyboard is unresponsive. So that is what actually that the point what I have said, that I mean that it can be happen with the and defective cables. Also it can be that the defective, I mean maybe that the communication or the connections that the backside you're giving with that the PS2 or maybe the USB connector. So this is the reason I'll ask you to read all the facts from the right side, but I'm not going to be actually study all of them because of that the time limits. The keyboard keys are the getting stuck or difficult to push. So that is what actually also we have discussed, that I mean it can happen because of that uh, I mean when if you're not cleaning, or if you're not actually I mean maintaining that the keyboard with that I mean from that if you're not protecting your keyboard from that the dust, or maybe that but dirtiness, if the keyboard becomes dirtiness, then actually the problems is going to be there. Even though actually we people are take less care to our the keyboard and mouse, but many peoples in this world, they like to make the things with that the neat and clean. So it is very much important that you are taking care of that the components, even everything in your life that you're getting. I mean, you should need to be take care of them. If you're taking care of them, definitely their life is going to be much longer than you are expecting. You want to create a keyboard shortcut for a command. So what is that? Like that you are having a this is known by everyone, I guess, that alter, control and delete. So if you're pressing that, what is going to be happening? If you're pressing that, then actually there is going to be a taskbar. In that case, recent Windows operating system like that, Windows 7, Windows 10, when we are pressing that the control delete, it is actually showing us a taskbar. I mean, different options like that. What exactly you want to do? For example, with that, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so if you are
Yes, sir.
pressing the control delete all the three keys simultaneously, then you will see that on the screen there are different options are coming, like locking, like switch users, sign out, change a password, task managers. So that the task managers is a part that actually it used to come before that, when you used to give that the alter control delete for the XP operating system, XP like Windows 97 Millennium. On those, when you used to press that the alter control delete, it used to come a task manager, and through that the task manager, if a program is not responding, then we used to actually select that, and actually we used to end the task, so that the program was suspended due to this ending task. And if we could press that a couple of times, like that 2 times, 3 times, maybe it is still there now also. That I mean, if you are pressing several times with the control delete, your computer is going to be restarted. So that is also the another, I mean, another thing that actually these days it's not required. Why? Because these days the rate of the hanging the PC means that, I mean, nothing is moving on the screen. You cannot work with that your computer system. I mean, it's just freeze, and it's just not nothing is moving. So that we call that the hang. Computer has been hanged. So I mean, these days actually the rate of hanging the computer is reduced significantly. Now, but it used to be there. I mean, when we are using that 97, 2000 XP, even XP also, it was sometimes it could be happen. But with that, the development of the technology at this moment that we are using, the computer system, these are actually quite good, quite better, much more better than that those days computer systems. So it is not required actually these days that you press Ctrl Alt or Delete, but sometimes I mean you may need it. So that is what actually that the shortcut keys, there are different shortcut keys can be used like that also. If you're striking the key to turn on sticky keys, you can press the shift key for the 5 times. So if you're pressing that the shift key for the 5 times, you can take it with your keyboard, then actually it is going to be give you a sound, and you'll find it out that the sticky keys. So uh, uh, it is actually let you use that the shift control alter or Windows logo keys by pressing only one key at a time. So this can be actually turned on, and this can be the turned off by pressing. To turn off, you may press both shift keys at the same time. So you know that you are having the two shift keys onto your onto your keyboard. So to turn off that the sticky keys, you must need to be press both simultaneously. So that is what it is telling. So this is what, and then the page up and page down keys are locked. Yeah, so that is simple. That is simply that, I mean, can be with that the scroll lock. So we have already talked about that the scroll lock, that what is the use of it. So I think that it's going to be very easy to understand here. So the letters are in all capitals, so you know that it's about the caps lock. You should need to be turned off to make that the letters smaller, so it need to be turned on caps lock to make that the letters alphabets with that the uppercase. And then you are having that the multiples of the same letters appear when you hit a key once. So this is actually happening because of that the if you have a problem with that the keyboard case. So we say that if you more than one of the same letter or number appears when you press a key, this is called the key bounce. So one key. So what is that the weight you can decrease is that you should have to be reduce the key pressing, and actually you can also control that the speed of that the keys responses through that the keyboard section in that the control panel. So you can actually control that increasing and decreasing that the speed of that the keyboard keys that actually you're pressing. So this is also that the one of that the thing. So these are the this is the table I collected from the internet. The most of the facts you are seeing in this chapter as well as in the next chapter, you will see that most of the things are actually collected from internet. And yes, I mean, if you're sitting with that, you should have to grow your interest. So for something you are studying, so it's not only depend on that the lecture notes I'm giving or lecture slides I'm actually sharing. There are a lot of things to learn. So if you're giving the time, if you're spending the time with them in the internet, you can gather much more information that what we have discussed in this presentation about the keyboard. So here we are moving to that another input device. Actually, I have given this name of this lecture with that the keyboard and mouse. So we have discussed the keyboard. Now we are going to move with that the mouse. If you're going to that the lecture notes, you are going to be, as many times I am saying that if you're going to that the lecture notes, you are going to be get much more informations that actually what we have discussed. We have actually given you here the 16 slides, but if you're going to that the lecture notes, you'll find there total 18 pages. Okay, informations are there, so you can understand there are a lot of informations are there into that the lecture notes, but not really that everything we have tried to cover here because of the time limit. So anyway, so that the second input device we are discussing here, that is actually the mouse. So there are different you know that that the mouse is one of the component with input device that actually we are using into that the computer system, and it makes our actually task easier when you are using the computer system, because you can actually move the cursor anywhere, and actually that is actually really help you to open something or to operate your different tasks into that operating system. So there are different types of mouses are there. Here you can see that we are listing the three: the mechanical mouse, the optical mouse, the cordless mouse. So there are different types, different technologies have been used for for the input device mouse. So the mechanical mouse here that is a ball. This was a common thing. I mean, on that the 1990s, even also that I mean the 2000 decade. It was I mean common picture that there is a all the mouse in that with that. Even though that I mean that the mouse history is telling maybe it is discovered if my memory serves well, maybe in 1980 decade. That time actually 84 I guess. The mouse has been invented, and after that actually there was a lot of improvement has been done with the mouse, because the mechanical mouse is the older type of mouse. Okay, so that is used as a ball for the movement of the cursor on the computer screen. When the ball is rolled in any direction, a sensor is going to be detect that and also moves the mouse pointer in the same direction. So that is going to be we are going to discuss on here the next slide detail about the mechanical mouse. And the optical mouse, it is actually not using that the ball. There is actually another mouse that is the mechanical optical mouse. So the both technologies have been combined to prepare the mouse. But these days actually, if the mouse you're using, that is based on actually the optical mouse and the cordless mouse. So the optical mouse here is using that the laser rays instead of that the ball for the movement of cursor on the computer screen. It is an advanced pointing device. Movement is detected by sensing changes in the reflected light rather than the motion of a rolling sphere. So that the rolling sphere we are talking about, that there was that is going to be clear actually, that the rolling that is actually the rolling sphere, that there is a wheels actually on that the mechanical mouse that is actually work for the x-axis and y-axis that the mouse you're moving. So that is actually under the mechanical mouse. But in the optical mouse, this is actually using the laser technology. So if anyone is asking to you that what is the main difference between the mechanical mouse and optical mouse, that the main difference is going to be that mechanical mouse is going to be actually used that is known as the ball mice, actually the technology, the ball mice, and that the laser rays mice, right, mouse. So these are the main difference between these two types of mouse. But working procedure of these two type of mouse is quite similar. And that how about the cordless mouse? The cordless mouse is nothing but actually there is no cable is there with that the mouse, right? So cordless means here that I mean it is going to be wirelessly connected to that your system unit. So with that type of mouse, that is actually coming with that the battery easily. So yes, I mean if there is a battery on the mouse, so if you're turning on, if you are using that the cordless mouse or the wireless mouse, you should need to be set up it with the computer system. And actually if you're turning on that your computer system, you will be able to use it. So that is what is actually telling, that it's a better driven. There is no wire or physical connection is not needed. So it transmits data through the infrared or radio signals from the mouse to the computer system. So here we are having that the ball type mice. So you can if you look to this more closely, can you see the picture clearly on the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you can see that I mean this mouse actually is the ball type mouse. So you can see that open mouse here. The mouse has been opened, and actually there are different numbers has been given, like one. Um, So if you look closely here, actually these are the 1, 2, and 3. So that has been marked here. That are the switches that actually you are having. So that the number 1 is actually the left mouse button. That actually the mouse left button we are clicking always. And the number 2 is actually the middle one. That is actually usually a wheel for scrolling down page scrolling down or scrolling up. So that is the second switch. And the third one is that the right button switch. So these are the three switches that is actually showing to the screen. And then you are having, make it maybe more bigger, than the picture is going to be clear. So that number 4, if that is actually a socket, you can see here that has been actually plugged onto this board, that the green color board, that on that the board that has been plugged. So this is actually old style connection to PS2 socket on the computer system. So actually you can disconnect it. It's a power cord, like that the power cord we are having onto that the motherboard. You have seen that that the power supply, that the main power source you're giving that the connection, so it can be disconnected from the green board. And actually this is what this is actually the cables that the from the mouse the cables goes to that the computer. That cable connection is actually given here. And the number five, so this is that the number five is actually most important component into that into the inside of the mouse you are having. What is that? That is actually a converter. So this is the converter job is actually to make the signals from the analog to digital. Okay, so that is the main thing actually. This is what actually the main components you can think about into that the mouse you're having. So that the analog signals has been created by moving that the mouse through that the other components, that is actually is going to be make that the signals from analog to digital. Why? Because your computer only understand that the digital signals, and that is why that the this converter is going to be converter is there for converting that the signals from analog to digital. So that is computer understand. So that the number six, if you look to that the number six and the number seven, actually there is an wheel, and there is an wheel. Okay, both end here there is an wheel. So that the wheel that the number if you're looking to that the number six wheel, that there is a wheel that is actually for x-axis. So why when you are that ball mouse, if you're moving from left to right side, on that time this wheel is going to be moved. This wheel is going to be I mean uh, the wheel is going to be moved. And in case of the seven, number seven, that if you're taking the mouse from bottom to up or up to bottom, so that is actually going to be y-axis wheel. So that with that the x and y-axis, actually when you're moving that the mouse with that the x and y-axis, it is going to be actually detected that where you are taking the cursor position is going to be detected actually with that how that you are moving the mouse with left, right, or up and down. So with that these wheels is going to be helped to detect that where the cursor is onto your screen. So the number 8 is actually that heavy rubber wheel that you can see here. The number 8 is that the heavy rubber, that is at the ball actually, that wheel rubber ball. And the number 10, that there are some actually capacitors. Some of the capacitors are there onto the board, as well as some of the resistors are there on the board. So the resistors are there. So with these are the inside components we are trying to identify here. Yeah, someone wants to say something?
No, sir. By mistake, it's unmuted.
Okay, no problem. So this is what actually that well, so it's quite simple that inside that the components we are having, that it's quite simple that actually how a ball mouse is going to be work on. So there are some with that the ball we are having, so that the ball when we are moving that the mouse to left and right side or up and down side, so that the wheels, that the two wheels are there that are going to be moved accordingly. There is a spring here that we have missed out, that number 9, there is a spring here that while you are actually moving that the ball, that is actually helps to move that the ball with that the x and y axis. So there is a spring here which is connected, so that the ball is moving correctly, so that the ball moves correctly. Okay, so that is actually a holding place, kind of a holding place that that is actually the ball is going to be correctly moved because of the spin that we are having. So that this is quite simple, that the three switches we are having. So if when you are moving that the our mouse, the ball type mouse from the up to bottom or left to right, so that the balls are going to be moved, and that the wheels or rulers are going to be run, and with that actually that the signals you are creating here, that is going to be sent to that analog to the that analog to digital converter. It is going to be converting, and so that actually you will be able to pass that the signals to that to your computer system. So that is what actually, it's quite simple, that I mean how it is actually works. So again, that I mean I'm going to be tell you that to make this topic more clear, it's better that you watch a video that is actually going to be show you by opening a mouse that okay, you know, what inside the mouse and how actually it works. So here this type of I mean YouTube video is going to be really useful to understand more clearly that actually what are the circuits. Even the backside circuit is also important for the mouse. Even some troubleshooting, actually you can also check like that. You're having the switch 1, 2, 3. So these are the simply that the switch that when you're giving the click, a tick tick sound you will be able to hear. So that the three switches you are using. So if that one of the switch is not working properly, say that the left switch and the right switch, actually the left switch we use most of the time, that we are clicking on the left switch. That the right switch also sometimes we use, but the middle switch, that second switch, we actually place less time. So if it is happening that your mouse, the left switch is not working smoothly, or maybe it has some problem, then you can open your mouse and actually you can change the switch from that left switch. That the left switch you can place into that the middle switch position, and middle switch you can take into the left switch position. So that means your left switch is going to work properly on that time. So there are several videos are there onto that the YouTube. If you're actually looking to them, you'll have a very much technical things you can learn. Basically, that I mean, when these things are going to be more discovered, when you're facing a problem like that into your computer system. If you're finding that, okay, I have a problem in my keyboard, I have a problem in my mouse, or I have any problem in my computer system. So I mean, explore, go to that Google Drive, and sorry, not Google Drive, go to that the Google engine, and ask him that, okay, what the problem you have. So if you're actually typing that the problem correctly, if you're looking here and there, you'll find it out that there are some solutions have been given. So follow that the solutions and try yourself to solve that the problem. But make sure that, I mean, whatever that the things you're doing, you are actually multiple time you're reading, not only depend on that one source, but read it into that the uh, read it into that the different sources. So that is going to be useful for you, that I mean, how this is going to be, I mean, you are going to be taken into account. There are actually different ways. I mean, if any problem happens into the computer system, there are different ways to solve it. So if you go to the 2 or 3 sources, and if you're studying or if you're seeing some videos, that is going to be give you the much more flow. Okay, that I mean, this is maybe the one of the way I can solve that the problem. So this is these days actually it's quite easier. I mean, you even do not need to go to that any book or any I mean, you do not need to read the books. You can directly reach with at the Google to anywhere in this world. Any problem, you'll be able to reach any solutions, any problem solutions you're looking for from the internet. 90, maybe more, above 90% of time, you will get the solutions that how you have to solve it. So anyway, so this is that the mouse we are talking about. That the next one is that the optical mice or optical mouse. So this is that the a bit different technology. There is no ball, right? So there was a ball, that there is no ball. So what that the how that it is work? We have already said about that the LED light, right? So you can see that, and LED LED at the back generates red light and shines it horizontally from the back of mouse toward the front. So if you look into these pictures, that is actually is explaining this line. So you can see that you're having a chip here, and you are having a light here, the diode light here, that the LED light. So that the LED light is going to be generates when your computer is turned on. That is, I mean, most of the I mean mouses we are using these days, that is the optical mouse. So the mouse, you'll see that the back side of the mouse there is a red light. So that is the LED light we are talking about, that gives that generates the red light and shines horizontally. So that means the light is turning on, it is going to be move horizontally. So that is the fact in this case, as because the mouse has been shown with the rotation. So it is actually showing that it is moving from left to right side, right side to the left side. The light, that the light you are having here, right? So that is the light is actually, and there is a plastic light guide channel, the light from the LED at the angle down onto the desk. So this is a kind of a plastic channel or plastic cover has been given. So this is here on that. This is the number 2. This is here on that. So this that the plastic cable that is actually make the reflection on that the LED red light that is turned on. When it's turned on, that the reflection is going to be go throw this the barrier to that the ground, right? So if you are taking your mouse on top, you will see that the light is actually, you'll be able to see that the red light on the onto your desk. So that the with that the barrier, actually the red light is actually placed into that the ground, that means bottom of that the mouse. So that the number 3 that you are having here, so it is the number 3, it is talking about a light detector chip, measures light reflected back up from the desk, converting the analog movement of your hand into that the digital signals that can be sent to your computer. So that is what actually again that we are seeing that, I mean there this chip is actually that the detector chips we are talking about, light detector chips we are talking about, that is actually going to be detect that your hand movement analog signals, and it is going to be converted to that the digital signals. Why? Because again, I mean our computer system will only understand the digital signal, so it must need to be converted to the digital way. And then that the scroll wheel that we are talking about, that the middle switch here, that the scroll wheel at the front of the mouse is mounted on a switch mechanism that detects both how much it's rotated and where you have pressed it. It functions like the central button of a conventional mouse. So this is what I mean. On this type of mouse, actually, there is no scrolling. That there is no scrolling. There is simply a switch. But here we are having a now scrolling wheel on the middle part of the top of the mouse. So we know that with that actually we will be able to scroll up and scroll down, right? But there was there was not like that. That function was a bit different than that. That the wheel, the scrolling. This one definitely this one is actually very useful when you are reading some books or stories into that internet or maybe that PDF file. So you can simply, I mean, rotate this, and actually that movement at this moment you're seeing on the screen, that is actually I am doing into my mouse the middle button or wheels that we are having. So this is what it's saying, that I mean it does that the both how much you have rotated. So the much I'm going to be rotate, that is going to be that I mean the much the page is going to be scroll and also that I mean it is what it is going to be do. It is going to be whether you have pressed it. I mean if you're pressing it, look, then I have pressed it, so a different pointer is coming and so that actually I can go to that left right and up and down if I want, right? So it is going to be I mean hold the if I'm clicking on here on the PDF file, then it is actually it is holding that the file, and if I'm just sticking that my mouse on the top, so I can go to the top directly, and if I'm taking the mouse to the bottom, then it will come like that the bottom part of the document. So this is actually the fact here, that the middle switch, that the middle wheel we are having, there is an actually different works of this middle switch. It's not only for scrolling down and scrolling up, but also that there are several functions are there with that the middle wheel of the mouse. So there are I mean how it works, that is actually telling here the rotations of the scroll wheel can be detected in a variety of different ways. There are two ways actually has been shown here. One is that the uh, potentiometers, broadly actually the variable resistors similar to the volume control, so that I mean that you are making that the volume of your speaker with that the making the switch of that the speakers volume control, that I mean you know that we can rotate left and right. So that can be one technology can be used for the rotations of the scroll of wheel, and another technology can be with that the optical encoders to convert analog wheel movement to the digital signals. So that different technologies has actually used for that moving that the wheel we are having here. And here also that I mean there I mean a detailed description can be given for the wheel, that in the middle part of the wheel you are having that the different I mean the wheels that the like the cycle wheels, or maybe that the rickshaws wheels, you'll see that there are some teeny gaps are there onto that the middle part of the wheel. So there are actually that some of the LED lights are there, so that the LED light reflections actually can move from one side to the another. So that is why that I mean the wheel in the middle part of the wheel we are having the several smaller gaps like that cycle, or like that I mean or maybe the rickshaws wheels we see something like that. So the number 5 is talking about a micro switch detects when you press the right mouse button. So this is what the for the right mouse button. So when you're clicking on that, so actually you're clicking on this switch, there is an identical switch on the other side to detect the left mouse button. So that side actually we are having that the left mouse button, and the number 6, that is actually uh, we are on that is, you can see we are on. So that is actually the cables, that the USB cables, it is connected to your computer system. So these are the few components that inside of that the optical mice that we have tried to learn. That I mean there are some capacitors here also. There are some resistors also. Um, so the different components, I mean if you're comparing these two mouse, then you can see that I mean the working procedures are almost nearby, and but this is using a ball, and this is using a ball and wheels, and this is using the late technologies, so that the light actually I mean it try to detect that actually while you are moving your mouse onto that desktop. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so with this actually we are closing this chapter. If you're going to that your lecture notes, you'll find some troubleshooting part also for that mouse. Only I have said about that, and there are actually a lot of you can I have already said that I mean it is this type of mouse is not used anymore, but you can find in a old computer that this type of mouse. But these days you'll find that the optical mice, most of the cases cordless also. The cordless mouse is works like the optical mouse, but it does not have that physical connections with that computer system. So I'll ask you again that I mean to watch the video that what inside a mouse. So you'll be able to see that I mean choose those videos that who are opening that the mouse. So when if you're seeing that a video with that opening of the mouse, actually you'll get all the explanations that how you should have to open the mouse, what the circuit boards, what are the chips, what are the components you're having, how they works, what is the backside of that of this board, and I mean if there is any problem onto your mouse, how you're going to be solved it. So I mean a detailed information you are going to be get with that the video, and that is going to make you more clear about that I mean what inside of the mouse and what are inside of the keyboard you're having. And also then I mean you can also open them after learning it from, if you have a desktop computer, and if you did not I mean if you want to clean them, then actually also I mean in case of that the keyboard, it is important that actually you are keeping that your keyboard clean, always clean. In case of mouse also I mean another thing is that I mean this type of mouse is going to be work work onto that I mean better into that the keypad. You know that the mouse has a keypad on the top of the keypad. Actually you keep the mouse and actually you move the mouse onto the keypad. So if it's the ball mouse, that is actually going to be work better. But if you are simply not using that the keep mouse pad, then this type of mouse actually does not work much. Does not work. I mean, cannot give you the better service. That the movement is going to be difficult. The ball movement is going to be difficult if you're not using a mouse pad. But in case of this, you do not need the mouse pads. Actually, without the mouse pads, because you are using the LED technology, so with the LED lights, that I mean the mouse is going to be work on. So this is going to be used. I mean there is no need of I mean a mouse pad. But if you want, you can use them. Also, it is going to be work on that top of a mouse pad. So this is the fact here. With this, actually, we are finishing the discussions here. So in these chapters, you're going to be what you're going to be studied. In this chapter, you're going to be studied mainly that okay, the keyboard, about the keyboard, that a keyboard is having the different type of keys. So what are the type of keys are there? So that you should have to be know. So type of the keys, and what are why that I mean what does that the typing keys means, and what are the layout of them. So each of that the keyboards keys you are having, so each set of keys you should have to be know that what are the functions of these different types of keys, and then what inside of a key, what inside of a keyboard you are having, actually how what are the components are there inside of a keyboard, You should have to be know them, and you should have to know that how a keyboard is going to be work. So that for that actually you should need to be a very good idea about the keyboard switch, that how it works. And there are different types of switch, like the capacitive switch and the mechanical key switch. So it's better that if you are studying this informations and the working procedures of the keyboard. So this can be a common questions to you, that okay, what explain the internal components of the keyboard, and list that the internal components of the keyboard and explain how a keyboard works. So that means you should need to be tell step by step that okay, what are the things are there and how it is going to be work, what inside of the keyboard and how it is going to be work. Similarly, that this is the keyboard interface. About the keyboard connector, this is actually just only for understanding. It is not I think not needed for the theory, but in the lab case maybe it may be needed, but theory is not needed. And this is also the keyboard problems and solutions. I will ask you to read them, but maybe that this type of problems is going to be, I mean, these are keyboard interfaces, keyboard problem solutions. This maybe can be asked to you that in the Viva, if that the Viva is there. Okay, so it's not for that written exam. And so you should have to be studied that okay, what is that what inside that the keyboard, and I mean, what are the components are there, what are the functionalities of them, and how a keyboard actually works all together. Okay, similarly, that in case of the mouse, that what are the types of mouse, and what are the working procedures of them, and what inside of a ball type mouse, and what inside of the optical mice, and what are the components are there, and how they works, and what is the difference between the ball type mouse and the optical mouse. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so that's it for this lecture. I think we have run out our class time, right?
Yes,
So
Yes, sir.
yeah, so thank you. And yeah, if is there any other comments or any questions?
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, actually, sir, today I missed my attendance, sir, cause